everyone, I hope you're well. In this video, we want to take some time to think about some of the things that employers should be considering as restrictions lift and businesses reopen and people who have been on furlough come back to work, or people who have been working from home perhaps come back to the office. So for those clients in sectors such as retail, hospitality, close contact services, we're delighted for you that you're able to either already have reopened or be in the final stages of preparing for reopening, and we hope that goes really well for you and for your teams. If you've been in that scenario and you have employees who, because of the nature of what you do, can't work from home, they've probably been on furlough, and so it should be relatively straightforward to bring them off furlough and bring them back to work. If you have any employees who are expressing any difficulty or concern about coming back to work, maybe because of a particular vulnerability that they have, then it'll be important to discuss that with them and give them whatever assurances you can about the steps that you're putting in place to make them safe at work. But lots of people, a bit like ourselves, have spent most of the last year working from home. And so we've been asked by a number of clients just to put out some thoughts in relation to what happens when employees have been working from home and employers begin to think about bringing people back into the office with a little bit more regularity. Again, the same stuff applies there in relation to health and safety, making sure that distancing's in place and all of that will be really important for confidence bringing people back. It's also important to be keeping an eye on the government guidance. The advice is still work from home if you can, and so at least for the next little while, a hybrid approach to coming into the office some of the time, working from home some of the time, is probably a good option for some people. And indeed that approach may be here to stay for some. Some employers, some employees might find that working from home has gone so well that they want to continue to have that flexibility and work part of the week at home and come into the office part of the week. And one thing that's really important and that we would urge employers in all circumstances in anything to do with the employment relationship is clarity with your employees. So if it is your intention that people will come back to the office on a phased basis, but working towards a return on a full-time basis, then you need to tell them that you're working towards a return to the office and back to what it was like before COVID hit. If, however, as an employer, you're thinking that the flexibility is there to allow employees to continue to work from home some part of the week and come into the office the other part of the week, and that might go on for, indefinitely, then it'll be important to set out the terms, the parameters, the policy, the procedures around that, particularly if you think that some form of working from home might be here to stay. It'll be really important to issue a working from home policy, setting out what the roles and the responsibilities and the rights and the obligations of the employer and the employee are. That'll be really important, and that should help avoid any confusion or room for dispute down the line. If an employee decides that they want to make the change permanent, that they want to work from home all or part of the week, they can apply to do that as long as they have 6 months service. They can apply to do that under the flexible working procedures, which is not particularly appropriately named in the legislation because it's actually about making a permanent change to the working pattern. So flexible doesn't mean I want to change it up week to week, month to month. Flexible in this context means a permanent change to the working pattern. So if an employee wants to work 2 days per week from home, they can write to the employer and request that, and there's a procedure then that needs to be followed for considering that. It's worth saying that whether the employer is content to allow some flexibility or is responding to an employee's request to permanently vary their working pattern to allow them to work at home sometimes, it will be worth building in some form of flexibility that the employer can require of the employee. So you might agree in principle that an employee can work from home on Fridays indefinitely, but you would want to reserve the right that if there was an important meeting that you wanted the employee to attend in the office or with a customer or client, that on any given Friday with reasonable notice, they can be required to come in to the office, and it'll be important that any arrangement that allows an employee to work from home builds in that flexibility that from time to time the employer might need the employee to change that day. So those are just a few things to think about as things begin to open up and as you bring people back into the workplace, either off furlough or people who had been previously working from home. And as always, we always round up these videos and updates by just reminding you that if you want to discuss anything in relation to this or anything else, please don't hesitate to get in touch, particularly in relation to this video if you want to think about working from home policies or anything else about getting employees back into the workplace, or considering what it might look like to allow some flexibility for home working in the longer term. Then by all means get in touch with us.